Hey, what's up, future millionaires? It's Mike the Investor. Now in this video, it's going to be broken down into three main parts. Now the first part, we're going to dive into ShibaSwap's terminology so we can understand what bury, dig, and fetch mean. Secondly, we're going to dive into ShibaSwap DEX itself. We're going to do a brief overview on what the platform looks like and kind of how to navigate through ShibaSwap. And then thirdly, we're going to dive all the way into the tokenomics of the three tokens of the ecosystem, which is SHIB, Leash, and Bone. We're going to dive into how the staking and liquidity pools actually work. And so before diving into it, definitely take advantage of grabbing some free Bitcoin by using the Voyager and BlockFi link down below, where you can earn passive income just for leaving your cryptocurrency on the platform. Now let's get ready to dive right into it. Alright, crypto investors, welcome back to the channel. There are timestamps down below if you do want to look at just a specific part of this video because it is jam-packed. But let's go ahead and dive into the first part of this video. So here's the starting tokenomics of ShibaSwap, and you can see there are three main flagship tokens of the ecosystem. We have Shiba Inu, also known as SHIB. We have the Leash Dogecoin Killer, also known as Leash, and we have Bone, also known as Bone. And so you can see here on ShibaSwap, your Shibas will dig or bury for Bone and other wolf returns. The best trainers even teach their dogs to fetch, which allows the pup to exchange one token for another token. And so when Shibas dig, bury, or fetch, they generate wolf returns that are distributed into the puppy pools. And so the last part of part one here, this is going to show us what bury and dig means. So bury means stake on ShibaSwap, and dig means provide liquidity. And so when you're burying your SHIB, Leash, or Bone, you're going to get 𝗥𝗡𝗘𝗏, 𝗥𝗡𝗏, or T-Bone, which is a representation of the actual token. And you can see this bullet print here. It says these tokens are representations of the share of the pool and will be automatically detected when you want to unstake your tokens through the staking pool. And so when you go to unstake, it will automatically convert to the normal token. And when it comes to dig or providing liquidity, you're going to receive SSLP tokens, which are the liquidity provider tokens for ShibaSwap. And so you can see here, if you're providing liquidity for SHIB, it's going to be SHIB and ETH, Leash is going to be Leash and ETH, and then Bone is going to be Bone and ETH. And so as we look down here, while the stake tokens receive a fixed percentage of Bone, the SSLP pools are distributed as BPB, also known as Bone per block, based on the allocation points to each individual pools. Now furthermore, certain liquidity pools, also known as dig pools, are eligible for double or even triple rewards. And so in simplest terms, that is what bury and dig mean, the two main terminologies besides fetch. And we're going to see what fetch means as well. Fetch is also known as taking liquidity or migrating liquidity, from Uniswap over to ShibaSwap. And you're going to see what I mean once we take a look at ShibaSwap DEX. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. Okay, so if this is your first time going to ShibaSwap, I would recommend go to shibatoken.com first, where we are currently are, and you see on the right hand corner, you're going to see use ShibaSwap. And the reason why is because that way you'll get directly to the real site, because there are scams out there, so definitely be careful. And so I'm not going to hit use ShibaSwap because I already have a tab open, but once you click that, it will automatically open up ShibaSwap for you, and it will look like this. All right, and so here are the six main boxes here that you're going to be familiar with. And so first things first, if we hit connect wallet, you're going to see these are the three options that we have to connect our wallet to stake or add liquidity to ShibaSwap. And we have MetaMask, Wallet Connect, which you can use Trust Wallet or any other wallet that has that Wallet Connect feature. And then you have Coinbase Wallet as well. And so first things first, we're going to look at the total value locked. You can see there is 1.48 billion, almost 1.5 billion already. That's pretty impressive in under a week's time. And so you can see here's the SHIB token price, the Leash token price, and then we have the Bone governance token price here. And so now let's dive into these boxes here briefly. And And so we have the provide liquidity, as it's going to show you here on the box. So if I was to click on provide liquidity, you can see I can create a pair, or I can add to current liquidity that I already have. So once we go back here, and so the second box is going to be fetch, and you can see you can migrate your liquidity from Uniswap over to ShibaSwap. So if I hit fetch, you can see you're going to connect your wallets and all of that stuff here. Let's go back out of the fetch. Now we go to the bury, and this is where you stake your tokens. All right, so if I click on stake, you can see it's going to have the 𝗓𝗢𝗡 token, it's going to have the 𝗓𝗢𝗡𝗕𝗖𝗧 token, and it's also going to have the 𝗓𝗢𝗡𝗘 token. Now the APY is coming soon. I'm very curious to see what the APYs are going to be. And so if I was to stake my 𝗓𝗢𝗡, I can go ahead and click bury 𝗓𝗢𝗡 here, and you can see it's going to give you 25%, 50%, 75%, and 100%. Scrolling back up a little bit, we have the total amount buried, your tokens, and then the total value amount. And then at the very bottom, you have your rewards that you will earn for staking 𝗓𝗢𝗡, which is BONE and wrapped ETH. And we're going to actually get into the staking and liquidity pools in part 3. So stay tuned for that. And so after we go back out of the staking box here, which is bury, once we look at the swap token, this is how you can actually swap different tokens inside of ShibaSwap. So let's say right now it's defaulted on ETH. I can hit the drop down, and I can just type in 𝗓𝗢𝗡 here if I wanted to swap 𝗓𝗢𝗡. Here's Shiba Inu. And you can see that now if I want to swap this, I can pretty much swap this for any ERC20 token that's on Ethereum for the most part. And so this is a very long scroll. As you can see, it has pretty much everything on here, you know, that you can get that's an ERC20 token. So the swap feature is completely live on ShibaSwap, and these two boxes here are coming soon. I'm curious to see what that's going to be. And so after we hit the back button here, this is going to be the BONE folio, which is going to track all of our stats for everything that we have staked and the liquidity that we have provided. And so the last thing here is going to be our wolf returns, and this is where you're going to stake your LP token. So anything you're getting from fetch or dig, these are both liquidity bars here, and so this is where you're going to actually stake those SSLP tokens. And so if you hit farm tokens, this will take you into the different liquidity pools with the different APRs as well. And so right here on the right side, you have your wolfable USDC that you're going to earn, your wrapped Bitcoin, you have DAI and USDT Tether, and then you have BONE, of course, which is the governance token. And so they have all of this available right now. If I just hit ShibaSwap here to take us back to the home page, but these are the main 6 boxes that you want to get familiar with. If you used the DEX before, ShibaSwap is going to be pretty easy to get used to, but if you haven't used the DEX before, it is a little bit of a learning curve. But I will just say kind of mess around with it and you will figure it out. Alright, so now let's dive into part 3 of this video, which is how does the staking and liquidity pools actually work on ShibaSwap. Let's dive right into this. So we're going to start off with the 𝗓𝗢𝗡 token, and we already know that bury means stake. So when you stake your 𝗓𝗢𝗡 tokens, this is what we're going to get. And so 3% of all of the BONE per block will be additionally distributed to 𝗓𝗢𝗡 holders that are a part of the 𝗓𝗢𝗡 pool. Also, 0.1% of all ETH swap transaction fees which occur on ShibaSwap, and then in addition, you're also going to get 0.05% of the allocated swap fees are distributed into the staking pools. And so as we move down, the bold print here is going to tell you 33% of the BONE and ETH returns will be weekly distributed and available for withdrawal, and then 67% of the remaining will be locked for 6 months. And so here's the diagram of how this breaks down. And so you have your 𝗓𝗢𝗡 token where you bury it or you stake it. Here's the 𝗓𝗢𝗡 staking pool. Right here is where you're going to get your 𝗓𝗢𝗡 tokens until you go to unstake it. And then right here at the top is going to be the rewards that go into the 𝗓𝗢𝗡 staking pool. So remember, we get 3% of BONE per block that's put into the 𝗓𝗢𝗡 staking pool. We have 0.1% of all of the ETH transaction fees plus the 0.5% of the swap fees that are converted into 𝗓𝗢𝗡. And so all of that will be put into the 𝗓𝗢𝗡 tokens. And then of course, how much you have staked will depend on how much you will get. All right. And so let's move down to adding liquidity, which is the dig option that ShibaSwap uses. And so we can see here, the 33% of the BONE will be available for withdrawal at any time, and the remaining of the 67% will also be locked for 6 months. And so we can see here, once we provide our liquidity, it's going to be 𝗓𝗢𝗡 and ETH pool, and we're going to get our 𝗓𝗓𝗡 and ETH SSLP tokens. And so once you do that, you stake those SSLP tokens, you will start earning bone. And then here's the breakdown of how you will earn your rewards. And so now we're going to move down to the second token of the ShibaSwap ecosystem, which is the 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗡𝗓 Killer. And so 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗡𝗓 Killer was originally envisioned to be a rebase token tied to the price of Dogecoin, and later it was decided that Leash would turn off the rebase function. The keys to allow rebase were burnt to ensure that this never happens and continue as a simple ERC20 token. And so let's scroll down to staking the Leash token, or also known as bury leash. Now when you stake your leash, it's going to generate leash, of course, and 1% of the bone per block will be distributed to the leash holders that are part of the leash pool. Now furthermore, 0.05% of the allocated swap fees are distributed into the staking pools, and part is sent to SHIB holders, which will allow them to increase their leash balance. And then of course here's the diagram again of how that breaks down. And so the bold print here says the 33% of bone returns will be weekly distributed and available for withdrawal, and the remaining 67% again, of course, will be time locked for 6 months. So when adding liquidity to the leash pool, it's going to gather 0.1% of all wrapped Bitcoin swap transactions and 0.1% of all USDC stablecoin swap transactions. And here's the diagram again of how this breaks down. And then here's the bold print to show you how the rewards will be distributed. 33% of bone will be available for withdrawing at any time, and the remaining of the 67% is locked for 6 months. And then when it comes to the other rewards, 33% of wrapped Bitcoin and USDC stablecoin returns will be weekly distributed and available for withdrawal, and then the remaining 67% will be locked for 6 months as well. So you can kind of get how they're doing this. And so as we move down to the last token here, which is the governance token, we can see governance token, which will allow the Shiba army to vote on proposals for 2022, as well as which token pairs will be added to ShibaSwap. The more bone you hold, the more weight your vote carries in these future endeavors. And so in a nutshell, that is the bone token. So when staking your bone tokens, or in ShibaSwap terms, burying your bone, the staking pool of bone will acquire 1% bone per block. Is going to be distributed to the bone holders that are a part of the bone staking pool. Furthermore, it will get 0.05% of the allocated swap fees are distributed into these staking pools. And then here's the diagram of how this breaks down. And so 33% of bone returns will be distributed weekly and be available for withdrawal. And then of course the remaining 67% will be time locked for 6 months. And last but not least, if you're looking to add liquidity with your bone token, the liquidity pool for bone is going to gather 0.1% of all DAI swap returns and 0.1% of all of the USDT Tether swap returns. And here's the bold print on how the rewards will be broken down. You can see 33% of the bone will be available for withdrawal at any time, and the remaining 67% is locked for 6 months. And then the other rewards, the 33% of DAI and USDT Tether, will be distributed weekly and available for withdrawal, and the remaining of 67% is going to be time locked for 6 months. And so that's how the staking and liquidity pools work for all three main tokens for the ShibaSwap ecosystem. This video was completely jam-packed, I know, but I didn't want to break this down into 2 or 3 parts. I wanted to give it all to you at one time. And so one thing that impressed me about ShibaSwap is the amount of total value locked that it already has on the DEX, and this is less than a week. It had 1.48 billion, which is almost 1.5 billion. That's pretty impressive in my opinion. And what this tells us is, 1, people are really pumped up about SHIB and the project. 2, people believe in ShibaSwap, and 3, people believe in the future of the Shiba Inu project. This is what this tells me, and I think this is good news. Definitely, if Shiba Inu project can keep putting out good catalysts, keep getting listed on bigger exchanges, and also keep getting picked up for different use cases to be able to be used to buy goods and services. And so this is just my opinion. And so if you gain some value from this video, definitely smash the like button, share this out with someone you know. I want to say thanks for watching, but that is all I got for you. If you haven't connected with me yet on my social platforms, on Twitter or Instagram, definitely consider connecting with me at Mike the Investor. Remember to stay inspired, stay motivated, always invest in yourself, and I'm out.